Hello everyone, we're going to start with conference number 49, the duality. In this conference, we're going to discuss the purpose of the existence in the planet Earth. So this conference is really important for us to take into account the different steps there are to achieve the self-fulfillment. We are going to take a look at those different steps so you can take a look at what is going to be the self-realization of our being, or what we call the sacred individuality, or self-fulfillment. So first of all, we are going to talk about the unit. We come from the absolute sun in order to achieve a compromise that we have with our being, that is the self-fulfillment of our being, and that is the achieving the 100% of conscience. But when we form the personality, when we get in touch with the different things of daily life, and we establish different compromises with our ego, we tend to forget what is the purpose, what is the objective of the existence in this planet. And so we think that the purpose is just fascinating with the superficial things of life, having a job, having to fight for the material subsistence, and all those circumstances that we have in life. But what matters, sorry, I have a problem with the microphone here, I need to fix. Ready. So what I was saying is that we have a different purpose in life, that is achieving the self-fulfillment, and we tend to forget about those things when we fascinate ourselves and our conscience becomes asleep. We need to awaken our conscience, start connecting with our being, start awakening that 3% of justice, wisdom, and love, in order to get in touch with the real purpose of the existence in this planet. So we come from this absolute sun as a spark with that compromise, and we unfold in order to come to this third dimension. We split into different parts. We first are a unit, and then we become a duality. We have separate sexes in order to create. There is man, there is woman, there is the positive side and the negative side. Sex is electromagnetic force that we achieve. It's like a battery. When a battery is working, we have the positive pole and the negative pole, electric and magnetic, that get in touch in order to create. That is why we have the sexual reproduction in animals, in plants, and we need a male and a female in order to unite those forces and create. That's why we have duality. Duality is the obscurity and the light that we have in all those things that form part of the creation in order to achieve that perfect union, that complementary force that is going to get us to get to know our world. By the opposite, the force of the contraries that get together and work together. We have the night and the day, man, woman, male, female. There is obscurity, there is light, there is denial, and there is affirmation. Those are complementary forces that we need to get to know in order to know ourselves. When we feel sorrow, when we feel pain, also we feel joy. There are two poles in every thing of creation. The different psychological defects are also working by this law of the pendulum, and the law of the pendulum is the same duality. If we have a defect, we have one side of the coin and the other side of the coin of the psychological defect. For instance, if we have lust, we have the defect of celibacy. Lust is fascinated in sexual degeneration and pleasure, and celibacy is the opposite, is feeling disgusting, that sex is something disgusting, feeling that you need to reject sex, you need to remain without having sexual practices in order to be saint or something like that. This is the two poles of the pendulum of the defect. Also, we have the avaricious defect and the wasteful defects. There are the two sides of the coin. The defect that doesn't want to lose anything, that wants to save and save money and accumulate material things, and the other side of the pendulum, that is the wasteful defects that want to spend and spend all the money and give and give everything to others and remain without anything. So we need to understand the two sides of the pendulum of all the psychological defects in order to get to the third aspect, that is the well, here we have the what I was talking about, the key of sexuality, that is the union between the two poles, male and female, the electromagnetic forces that form part of the sexual transmutation, or the kundalini, that we need to work in pairs. We need to work with our partner of the opposite sex in order to have a creation, in order to unite the positive magnetic pole with the electric and negative side, yeah, and keep that energy of the fire of the kundalini ascending through the spinal cord. So here we need to get to those two sides to work together. And the conciliation is what we call the Trinity. The Trinity is the union of these two poles, the electric and magnetic, in order to achieve the part of neutrality, the negative and the positive. And here the neutral side, we have in a molecule, even we have electrons and protons, and also we have the neutral part, that is the conciliation, that are the neutrons. So in the same structure of the molecules, we have the force of the Trinity, that is the sacred conciliation. The positive represents the affirmation, the negative represents the denial, and the neutral represents the side of getting these two poles to work together, achieving the union, achieving conciliation, and recognizing the two sides of the pendulum, how they work, and achieving the equilibrium between two poles. If you get to understand a psychological defect, you need to get to know the two sides of the pendulum and remain in the center, in the equilibrium, in order to know how to disintegrate the defect. For instance, if you have the defect of anger, there is a negative side in which you recognize that you are angry, that you are in a state of rage, that you are furious, that you want to destruct, that you want to be violent, that you want to get revenge. Well, get even with someone. And there is the positive side of the defect, in which you don't recognize, you think you're good just by being really submissive, being permissive. You think that you are acting in a good way because you let people do whatever they want with you. You put the other chic. You let people do whatever they want with you, and you don't have authority. You don't have the temper to say no, to say I don't agree with that, or this is not correct. So there is the other pole of the pendulum of being in a state of anger, that is being in a state of submission. And that is also the other side of the pendulum of the defect of anger, the defect of rage. So if you recognize the two sides of the pendulum through the technique of meditation, you're going to get to know the side of the conciliation, that is knowing how the defect acts on you, how does it want to take your energy, putting you in the two sides of the pendulum, in states of reacting or just letting people do whatever they want with you. And you get to know what is useful, truthful, and fair in the different situations with the psychological defect. The same with all the defects that you get to meditate. If you are meditating the states of celibacy, the states of lust, one pole wants to have sex, wants to have pleasure, wants to entertain. That is the side that we know that is destructive, using our sexual creative energy to fornicate. And the other side of the pendulum thinks it's good by remaining out of sex, by avoiding the sexual practices, avoiding the states of feeling sexual activation, and thinks I am good, I am saint just by getting out of sex. And if you recognize the celibacy and the lust, none of those sides of the pendulum are going to get you to value the sexual creative energy. You need to achieve the force of fidelity, chastity, and love that is working with your couple of the opposite sex in order to create the existential bodies for your being. So you are going to have to discover what is the useful thing, the truthful, that is using sexuality to create love. And then you discover how to eliminate those defects and get into the conciliation of those opposite forces, and discover what should I do, what is the right decision, how should I eliminate this defect in order to awaken my conscience. That is the conciliation, achieving this third force that is in the middle of the two sides of the pendulum. Just by getting to know these two sides of the pendulum, you find the equilibrium. Then as soon as you get to know what is the equilibrium, you are going to discover how to save your energy of the different centers of the human machine. The 7 centers we have: the motor center, we have the lower intellectual center, the emotional center, the instinctive center, and the sexual center in the different parts of our spinal cord. And we are going to learn how to value the different energies that we have in those 7 centers of our human machine. When we discover what is useful, truthful, and fair, how we are going to discover these 3 forces that we were talking about, that were the force of love and wisdom, and the force of justice that is in the middle. The force of justice is doing what is useful, truthful, and fair all the time, awakening our love, awakening our wisdom, and eliminating the defects that fragment our mind and keep us just in this law of the pendulum. So we are going to reconcile those forces, and get to know what is the quaternary that comes from the power of the self-observation. That is a faculty, a power, and a force that we have right now as left. The self-observation is atrophied right now because all the time we do what the psychological defects want. We think with uh, our mind, we use our intellect, we are so rational, we are all the time criticizing, judging, pointing at others, gossiping, and we are doing things that are not useful, that are not truthful, that are not fair. We are wasting the energy in our mind, in our emotions, in our words, and in our actions. So we need to establish that inner justice that is going to get us to save energy, purify the energy in our seven centers of the human machine, and get us to have that fire, that energy that we need in order to create the superior existential bodies. Because without energy, and with the energy of our seven centers wasted and contaminated by the action of ego, we are not going to get to create anything in the practices of supra-sex. We need to purify, we need to be in equilibrium, have energy. The energy is going to be that fire of the kundalini. If we don't have energy, we don't have that fire in order to work in the sexual transmutation practices. So first of all, we are going to discover what we are thinking. Self-observation is to have the ability to recognize when I am in a state of when I'm wasting my mental energy, in a state of thinking, rationalizing, anticipating with futurizing, or thinking about the past a lot, wasting that mental energy in things that are not profitable for anything. I'm thinking, oh, maybe if I waste my money, I'm going to be poor. I'm not going to have the possibility to pay my rent. I'm going to be unsuccessful. A lot of things come to our mind, and we are thinking, and we are being rational and intellectual all the time. We are feeling the effects of anxiety, of frustration, of being worried about something that it's not even true, that we are imagining, we are fantasizing all the time. For instance, the ego of jealousy make us imagine different scenes of adultery. Oh, my couple is going to be unfaithful to me, and we stressed up a lot, and we suffer, and we are feeling all the time depression states. So that's what happens with our mind. We don't control our thoughts, and we are losing that mental energy in a lot of imagination, mechanical imagination, a lot of fears that we project that are not even truth. So we need to beg to our Divine Mother in order to save our mental energy. Divine Mother, eliminate me this ego of imagining things, of jealousy, of feeling fear of losing my couple, or of losing my job, of a lot of things that we imagine that we are not going to be able to pay our bills, etc. And also we feel a lot of things that are negative feelings. We feel hate, we feel resentment, we feel the need for revenge. For instance, someone borrowed, we borrowed money to someone, and this person didn't pay us back. So we feel a lot of anger, we feel frustration, we feel that we want to hit that person if we see it. We want to be violent, we want to insult that person. So we need to feel our emotions with positive aspects, eliminate all the resentment, the need for revenge, all those feelings that are not good for anything, because we nothing comes out of that. So we beg to our Divine Mother and we save our emotional energy. Divine Mother, eliminate me this ego of resentment, of need for revenge, of violence, all those negative emotions, and we end up just feeling love, that just feeling that need to serve mankind and to remain saving that emotional energy for something useful. Also, with our words, all the time we are projecting things that are not truth, criticizing our neighbors, our family, our couple, our partner, people that surround us. We criticize everything. We gossip, we calumny, we destroy with our words, and that is not profitable, but is destructive. So we recognize that is the force of our ego, and we beg to our Divine Mother, Divine Mother, eliminate me this ego that wants to gossip about my neighbor, about my family, and we save our motor energy, because our actions and our words are from our motor energy. Also, these actions that we do are not useful, not truthful, not kind or respectful towards our energy and towards people around us. So we beg to our Divine Mother in order to save that energy from our actions. If we are flirting with someone that is not our partner, if we are feeling the need to satisfy that prototype of beauty, that sexual attraction, that ego of adultery for someone that is not our husband or our wife, we recognize that is the force of ego, and that is going to be something destructive for our spiritual development. So we eliminate those defects that want to act in certain way, in a flirtatious way. We need to eliminate all those details of feeling that need to approach that person in certain way, look at the person with desire, or establish a relationship with a lot of lust. So we are fair, and we do things that that are useful and truthful, and we save energy in all the 7 centers of our human machine, and we keep purifying that energy. That is going to lead us to the next step, that is the quinary. In the quinary, we are going to work with that energy that we have saved. That energy that what we have purified has reached a certain point, because we have practiced the 3 factors of the revolution of the conscience. For instance, we have purified the energy to a level with the psychological death, the elimination of our ego. We have reached a point in which we are not wasting anymore. We are not fornicating the energy of the 7 centers. I mean, with fornication, we are not spelling the sexual creative energy in the sexual center. We are not wasting anymore the instinctive energy. We are not wasting anymore that emotional energy, that intellectual, that motor energy. And we are doing things that are that awaken the 3% of justice, wisdom, and love. We are only using that energy for awakening our conscience. So we are rescuing the light out of darkness with the practice of the psychological death. With the practice of the sexual transmutation, we are achieving the force of fidelity, chastity, and love. So we are awakening the force of the Kundalini, and with sacrifice for mankind, we are awakening the principle of love. We are helping mankind to awaken their conscience by the practice of these sacred knowledge in order to create the superior existential body. So we are also paying the karma of the psychological defects that we have created in the different existences. So that practice of the three factors for the revolution of the conscience is going to make us awaken that fire of the kundalini that is like a serpent that is coiled up in the coccyx bone, and with the purity of the energy it's going to get us to create, to regenerate first of all the physical body, then regenerate the vital body when it's going to ascend through the spinal cord, and also it's going to get us to create the astral body to this height. It's going to get us to create the mental body this height, create the causal body that is at the height of the larynx when we ascend the energy to this point in the spinal cord. And if we refuse the path of the nirvana, we are going to unite with our buddhic and atmic body. So the path of the nirvana, it's a test, a temptation that is going to be set for the initiate here that is working with the fire of the kundalini at the height of the creation of the causal body. Our inner Lucifer, that psychological trainer that is wanting to fall into temptation, wanting us to fall into temptation, and is putting that test in order to see if we have rescued the fire of the kundalini and we have achieved the conscious will in order to refuse our ego, our different pleasures, our different fears for suffering. If we have enough conscious will to resist to those temptations, because that inner Lucifer is going to promise to fulfill all the need of pleasure, all the satisfaction of our lower instincts, all that temptations that we have denied along all the path in order to do what is useful, truthful, and fair. That psychological trainer is going to offer us to give us all those toys of the personality of our ego in order for us to entertain or have a lot of pleasure and renounce to the union with our inner Christ, that is the 3% of justice, wisdom, and love. Also, he's going to show us that there is a lot of suffering in the direct path, because we are going to have to pay the karma tough. The karma tough is paying the karma for the crimes against the Holy Spirit. Those crimes cannot be paid with dharma, cannot be paid through actions of love, of charity, because those are attempts to the force or the holy force of our temple, of our energy, that is our physical body, that is our sexual energy. So all the crimes for fornication, for attempting to the integrity of other people, destructing our temple, doing things that attempt towards the energy, all the sexual degenerations, all the castrations, kinds of abortions, violence against our physical body, against the body of other people. Those are crimes against the Holy Spirit and can only be paid through a lot of suffering, diseases, and physical sufferings that we need to endure during the path. So the person that has a lot of attachment to the ego that hasn't worked so hard in order to achieve the that will, that conscious will to refuse pleasure, and not having fear for suffering, for the having to pay with pain, all those crimes against the Holy Spirit. If you don't have fear and don't have attachment to pleasure, you're going to refuse that Lucifer, that last temptation, in order to unite to your individual Christ. That is the step of the scenario. So that person that refuses the path of the nirvana is going to unite that human soul that he has already created with the divine soul that is going to come down and unite in that perfect marriage. So it's going to be the union of that human soul, because before we have created the existential bodies for our being, we were rational animals that had not created the human soul. But when we have regenerated the physical body, the vital body, created the astral body, the mental body, and the causal body, we can say we have a human soul. And when we accept and unite with our inner Christ, refuse the path of the nirvana, we can unite with our divine soul that is going to come down and achieve that perfect marriage, that is the force of our spirit, and that inner Christ that is pure fire of wisdom and love is going to take control of us and achieve the disintegration of our ego in the infradimensions of planet Earth, because we have the 7 causal defects that are in the infradimensions or the inferno worlds, and we need to, if we want to unite with the force of our spirit, we need to disintegrate that force of ego, of inner darkness, for good. That is the septenary. That is what they said, that Master Jesus came to the infradimensions and resurrected as a master, because he had to come down to the Dantesque circles, the 9 Dantesque circles, and eliminate for good these 7 causal defects and be resurrected. That is what Master Jesus, Master Buddha, all people that want to achieve the self-fulfillment have to do in this process. The septenary is the birth of the Christ, that is the force of fire and love, that light that is wisdom, and that fire that is love is going to take control completely of our actions. We are not longer having free will. It's going to be our Christ, our Father, that is pure light of wisdom and fire of love, that is going to take control of us. And we are only going to do things that are useful, truthful, and fair, because we have disintegrated those causal defects that are anger, lust, violence, greed, pride, gluttony, all those 7 capital sins that we know. We have already disintegrated them in the infradimensions of planet Earth, so we are going to be at this point totally purified from the force of ego. We are going to rescue that fire that is ignis natura renovatur integram, the fire that incessantly renews nature. We are going to end up with the nature of darkness, of wisdom, of darkness, and it's going to be just the fire of wisdom and love, that is going to be no darkness inside of us, because this fire is going to take control of our human machine, and we're going to be like an absolute sun when we unite those forces. In this part we are practically free from that ego, but still there is more to do. There is the octonary, that is going to be the path of the part of searching the disciple, that is going to help us to unite with our being. So this fire that incessantly renews nature is going to help us eliminate the seven causal egos, rescue the fire of the seven churches of the apocalypse, and well, defeat for good our inner Lucifer, that is the temptation of the direct path. If we achieve that, so we are going to that is going to lead us to the octonary, that is the searching for the disciple, that is going to be in charge of the teaching of this sacred knowledge to mankind. In order to keep this planet to have an equilibrium, there is the need for a disciple that continues teaching how to achieve the self-fulfillment to people that remain in this planet. If there is someone, a master, that is going to achieve the sacred individuality, in order to achieve that union with the inner Christ, that 100% of conscience, he needs to leave someone in charge of the teaching in this planet. He cannot leave the human race, the human breed, totally alone. You cannot renounce to that force of love that is teaching people how to achieve what is useful, truthful, fair, what is love, what is wisdom, what is justice. So getting the disciple is the part of the sacrifice for humanity, just teaching uninterestedly this knowledge to all mankind in order for people to do their own job. So we need to work hard in order to give these teachings to all people without distinction of social status, religion, of gender, a lot of things for the personality. We are going to teach to the being that is inside of that physical body. So there are no frontiers, there are no barriers, there are no boundaries. Just giving this knowledge in order for people to do their own job, to awaken their conscience, to unite with their being, do different practices like the astral projection in order to find out to the different mysteries of the universe, the different secrets that there are in the superior dimensions of nature, to refuse that fascination that we have for the physical body, for the third dimension things that are totally going to pass away with time, and get to be profound, and recognize that there are transcendental things that are not in this physical world, that are in the metaphysical part, in the superior dimensions, the astral dimension, the mental dimension, and that we can get in touch with that side, the spiritual part, and get to develop that faculties, powers, and forces that form part of our psychic energy that is right now trapped in the force of ego. So we need to awaken that force and get people to know that we have that side inside of us, that we are not just material part, that physical body, and that's it, that third dimension. No, there is something beyond, and humanity needs to be aware of that in order for us to keep having a purpose of existence in this planet. In order for the human race to keep subsistence, there is the need to form solar man, people that can awaken the 100% of conscience in order to have a purpose for the existence in this planet. So the novenary, it's going to be the next step for people that find the disciple, that is going to be the fusion of different forces that we have inside of us. That is the Christ, the fire of justice, wisdom, and love are going to merge, are going to become a union. The Lucifer is not longer going to be the temptation, because we have already defeated him. We have already defeated all the trials, all the tests, all the temptations, all the pleasure and the fear of pain that he has planted. So we have already rescued the percentages of our inner justice. We are totally doing what is useful, truthful, and fair. There is no longer the force of ego seducing us, because we have awakened that percentage of conscience that is going to give us conscious will. And the Divine Mother, that was the force to achieve inner justice, is going to be a union between that force, because we begged our Divine Mother, when we had ego, we begged that force of love in order to free that percentage of essence that was trapped in the psychological defect. But when we have no ego, that percentage of love, it's already united with that force of the psychological trainer. And there are a union right now. So the Holy Spirit and the Divine Mother and the Christ Lucifer are a union, are that force of fire, wisdom, and love that is merged inside of us, and we are no longer disconnected in that sense, in which we can be seduced by the fire of our Lucifer that was trapped in our ego, because we have no longer got that ego to trap us. So that in that moment we are just waiting. In the novenarius, we are just waiting and feeling a lot of anxiety to be well trapped by that, well not trapped but merged with that force of our spirit, that is the denarius, that is the principle of God Father. We have already formed the God Mother, that is the principle of the O, that is represents Oligon. So that inner fire represents the God Mother, and we are just waiting for the denarius to come. That is waiting for the Godfather to penetrate God Mother and achieve that perfect union that is the denarius. So that those are the different paths. That is the different. Those are the different steps in the path of achieving the union with our being, the sacred individuality that we are talking about. Those are the different steps that come in different parts, that are the first mountain, that is the Genesis, that is working with the sexual creative energy with our partner. The second mountain of the psychological, that is the resurrection, because we have to put an end through fire to our psychological defects in the infradimensions of planet Earth. And the third mountain, that is going to be the sacrifice for humanity. Those are the different stages, and this is the path with the different steps that we have been talking about. Here we have the duality. When we unfold from the unity, we are in the duality. We need these two poles to work together. These two poles here, man, woman, being, not being, yes, no. We unfold from the monad, we become the duality. And this step that we were talking about, the ternary, is achieving the conciliation, the useful. The justice is going to be the denial, and the wisdom is going to be our Father, that is the affirmation, and the conciliation, that is going to get us to reconcile the two sides of the pendulum, Then the quaternary, that we were talking about achieving this force of purifying and saving our energy in the different centers of our human machine, with the straight doing, straight feeling, straight talking, straight thinking. Then it's going to give us a result, the creation of existential bodies for our being, those inner vehicles that we have in order to getting to know the different dimensions of nature. We are going to with the regeneration of our physical body, we are going to be able to communicate with the element earth, that are the gnomes and pygmies. With the regeneration of our vital body, we are going to get in touch with the essences of the element water, that are the undines and the rays of water. With the creation of the astral body, we are going to get in touch with the element fire and the essences of the element fire, that are the salamanders of fire. And with the creation of the mental body, we are going to get in touch with the sylphs and sylphids of the air. And here we are going to get in touch with all the elements of nature, with the causal body, that is the element ether. We are going to use the power of our verbal energy, of our motor energy, in order to destroy and to create. That is the power that had, for example, Master Jesus, that he could transform matter, could resurrect people that were dead, cure people that were sick, walk in water. Well, different powers that is going to have the person that is working in this creation of the existential bodies, and it's going to achieve the path of the perfect marriage, that is refusing the path of the nirvana, in which our inner Lucifer or inner temptation, it's going to promise a lot of pleasure, a lot of richness, of wealth, a lot of years of living in this planet Earth, and not paying for the hard karma with a lot of pain and suffering and diseases. So if we go to the path of the nirvana, we are not going to achieve the next steps. We are going to remain here and then lose all the creation of the existential bodies, because we are going to have still our ego, and this is going to give us to have ego and lose what we have done till now. But if we walk right through and achieve the direct path, refusing this spiral of the nirvana, we are going to achieve the perfect marriage, that is the union with our divine soul, that comes from superior dimensions, and we are going to unite our divine body, our divine soul, with our human soul. That is going to lead us to the septenary that we were talking about, the disintegration of our seven causal egos, the creation of the seven bodies of gold, the achieving of fire in the seven churches, the elimination of all our ego, integration with our being. Then the octonary, that we need to get the disciple for this planet to still have a purpose of the existence, to still have solar men that are going to achieve the sacred individuality. We need to achieve this percentage of love, that is the sacrifice for mankind, the octonary, that is the mountain of the sacrifice. And the novenary, that is falling out of the mechanicity of the lab. This is the lab that we are going to have to do. Breaking the mechanicity is breaking this mechanical force of ego that is going to keep us spinning in the wheel of samsara. If we have broken that, well, we are going to be waiting for the force of the Father, that is the force of wisdom, to unite with our Godmother. Christ and Lucifer are merged with our Godmother, that is the Spirit, the force of the Spirit, So we can await for the ordinarius, that is the union between the forces of the godmother and the godfather, achieving the unity. We came from the absolute sun in duality, and we are going to achieve the sacred union. We are going to reconcile that duality again, but with fulfillment of the 100% of conscience. That is the difference. We are going to come to the absolute sun, but with full knowledge of ourselves, with full wisdom and full love, and the 100% of awakened conscience. We are going to come and make part of the army of the boys. That is when we are a solar unit and a solar man. We have those percentages already integrated within ourselves with the power and the force of our conscious will. So this is the conference of the duality. It's a little bit complex, but it's well, it's going to be the path of each one of us to discover the secrets of this path, to apply the techniques to awaken our conscience in order to verify, in order to get in touch with the different mysteries of the superior dimensions. So we need to practice the psychological death, the sexual transmutation, in order to be acquiring the wisdom and the love that we need to prove these different superior dimensions, to recognize them, to discover a lot of mysteries in the occult part of our spiritual force, and to have the force, the conscious will, in order to be walking through these steps and achieving compromises and refusing the different temptations that we have along the path, rescuing the fire of wisdom and love in every step, and keep uniting the percentages of conscience that are trapped in our ego. So it's going to be step by step. We have not gotten to be really anxious of just wanting to achieve the self-fulfillment right away. It's going to be a process in which we eliminate our ego and rescue the fire of our conscience, and refuse the different actions of ego that want to take control of our existence. So the the difference is going to be in our daily practices, in our daily actions, to establish inner justice, with the psychological death and the three factors, the spiritual birth and the sacrifice for mankind. Well, thank you all for your participation. Prairie Simeon says this hand. Well, thank you for your support and for your attention, for your time. I hope this conference has been clear enough and useful for your inner work in the awakening of your conscience. So see you in the next lecture, and we are going to be transmitting more of this sacred knowledge all the Sundays in the morning. Bye. Have a nice day.